Welcome to the Dealmakers Podcast. The Dealmakers is a platform for leaders in the commercial real estate industry to share their personal stories, business insights, and industry secrets because we believe in spotlighting the real people behind the deals. This podcast is brought to you by Agora, a comprehensive real estate investment and management platform offering a wide range of services to enable real growth and provide the best real estate investment experience both for GPs and LPs. I'm Asaf Raz. Let's go. And today, special guest, long time coming. Thank you, Eve, for setting this up. I know she's on the podcast right here, but she's not going to speak. But thank you for setting it up. It's been a long time coming. Mark Goldfinger. Mark is he has so much to say. I'm not going to say too much about him. He's going to take it all in. But he's now the head of North America at Mindspace. Has been a long time in Unibrands, WeWork. And has an amazing history in real estate, specifically in the office space. Mark, without further ado, please take it away. Tell our audience about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Amazing, Asaf. Thank you so much for having me. I know we had a lot of scheduling conflicts on both of our sides, so really appreciate you not just giving up and being like, we don't need to speak with Mindspace. So
no way.
Happy to be here. We do need to change your office, though. We got to get you working out of a Mindspace. But we're working on a Manhattan location, so more to come on that. There's a little teaser.
If you convince my CEO, we'll take it.
That's done. So as you mentioned, hi everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. My name is Mark Goldfinger. I'm the general manager at Mindspace for North America. I oversee all 6 of our U.S. locations. Our first one opened up in 2018 in San Francisco. We then quickly expanded over to the East Coast in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. Had 3 locations for a couple of years. Then unfortunately, COVID happened. We kept our heads down. We continued, persevering and pushing through, as I know so many entrepreneurs and, companies alike did. Came out on the other side as strong as we possibly could be, and quickly made the decision to double our presence in the U.S., expanding to 6 total locations. So we opened up 2 in Miami and then 1 in Williamsburg. Right now, we're at about 87% occupancy across the U.S. So the teams are really, trying to drive the business as forward as possible. And quickly giving me reasons to push HQ for us to open up a couple more locations across the U.S.
There we go. A nice plug in there. But yes, really, honestly, the expansion of Mindspace has been mind blowing to me. Also, specifically because I've been in your offices when it was early on back in Tel Aviv.
Okay.
So I knew some of the team members. It was just pretty nice to have like a real competition to back in the day. It was WeWork. So something that's like new and innovative. Let's take it back, Mark, to
of course.
How do you even get into this? You have such a history in like office spaces and especially like shared office spaces. How does that happen?
So I'll try and keep this somewhat short, but I think, the first part of this story is actually really, really cool. So one of my oldest friends, I've literally known him since birth. We grew up together. I was working in advertising, throughout college. He was working on the finance side of the real estate business. And right after we graduated college, he took a great job, especially someone right out of school. And then I decided to go get my MBA. And before he was going to start the job, before I was going to move to London for my master's, we said, we've always talked about doing a boys ski trip. Let's do it. So we put together a group of guys. There were 4 of us. And we did like a week and a half on the West Coast. We're huge skiers. We grew up skiing. We absolutely loved it. So we go out to Tahoe and we go to Colorado, to Utah. And we are in Utah. And we're, it's 11:30. We're at the lodge in the morning. We've done a bunch of runs. We're grabbing a couple beers and we're talking about one of the real estate deals that my buddy's working on. And this tall guy gets up from behind us, comes over, asks a couple of questions. My buddy answers. And then the guy looks at us, looks at him and goes, "You're not ready and you have no idea who I am, but one day you're going to come work for me." Puts his card on the table and just walks away. And we're like, what the heck was that? Let it behold, fast forward, the tall, crazy guy was Adam Neumann. My buddy ended up being the head of real estate for WeWork, helped grow it in the US and helped then take it internationally, especially across Southeast Asia and China. I went to get my master's. I came back, I was working in advertising, and I, was chatting with my buddy again. And he's like, dude, like this company is incredible, super small, a couple hundred employees. It's early 2015, and we want to do some international expansion. We need someone to focus on like sales and community. Like, you'd be perfect for this. Like, come interview. I went, I did an interview. I absolutely loved it. Hated the company I was working at the time. And I was like, this is phenomenal. Let's do it. So I ended up joining WeWork super early on as one of the first 300 employees. I was part of their expansion team. So my job was to live out of my suitcase. I lived on planes and I traveled to new markets for every 3 months, where I helped drive sales, community, marketing, and kind of hospitality and member experience, help get a market set up. And then I would go to another market. And this was what I kind of did. And I did this for a while. For about a year. I came back to the US. I needed to be home and be back in New York City. I told the company I no longer wanted to travel. They said, no problem. One of the executives called me into the office the next day and was like, I know you don't want to travel, but we want you to go to London and be our first sales director. And I was 25 at the time. And I was like, I'm in, let's do it. Like, how do I say no to that opportunity? So I ended up moving out to London in 2016, lived there for about 5 years, helped grow us to 20 plus buildings, helped lead our new sales across the rest of London and the UK and into, other parts of Europe. And then eventually kind of the team got like really stable. I promoted someone from within my team to take my role. And then I was promoted up to lead our international expansion. Found myself living in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, found myself as our head of sales for Greater China for 6+ months. It really was an incredible ride. I think in 2018, I did probably roughly 320 days on the plane traveling. So it was, I got to a point where I was sleeping better on planes than I was in beds. It was a wild time. Unfortunately, some family stuff happened. And in 2019, I just needed to be back home closer to family. So moved back home to lead, promoted someone again to lead the European international expansion. I then ended up leading our international expansion globally, helped with any of our abroad new markets like in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and then also helped with any of our distressed markets as we were preparing for the IPO. Obviously, we all know the story. It didn't go as according to plan. I stayed on the company. We then went through COVID. I stayed through COVID. And then at the end of 2020, I felt like it was just time for me to make a change. I felt like I had lived and breathed WeWork and coworking for 60+ years, 37 hours a day for 12 days a week, if you will. It was ingrained in me. And a good friend and mentor of mine approached me with a new business idea called Unibrands. We were acquiring companies that were sold on Amazon to provide exit strategies for small founders who are driving companies on the e-commerce sites from anywhere from $1 to $20 million in revenue. It was a lot of fun. I was able to be employee 4 or 5 there, help drive the culture, business development, marketing, social channels. It was a lot of fun, and it was a new experience and a new challenge. I did that for about 3 years. We grew the company to 200 people and 175 million in revenue, which was a lot of fun, but I still found myself like missing the real estate world. Like again, the WeWork ecosystem was so ingrained in me that it was weird to not be doing it every day. So I started looking elsewhere, and I came across Mindspace, and I, had read about them. I spent a ton of time interviewing with their executive team, and, Mindspace is very, very well established and very well known internationally, right? We have 50 locations around the globe. 44 of them are abroad, with Germany being our largest market, followed by Israel, and then now the US and London. And the team was ready to really put a flag in the US. and they were really ready to be like, you know what, we've done so well abroad. There's a lot of untapped potential in the US market. Let's see what we can make happen. And that excitement hearing from Dan and Yotam, our co-founders and CEOs, I was just like, I want to be that guy. Like, let me help lead the US charge. And let's see how much fun we can have and how much untapped potential we could break into. And this was a little over a year ago, maybe 15 months ago. And here we are today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's such a great experience. And I think there's a lot of real estate to talk about here. I think your perspective of office space growth, but not the traditional type of office space growth, right? Can give us a lot of insight into occupancy rates, understanding how office is trending right now. What are you seeing in the office space? I've been talking about this for a while, but back in COVID, right? Everybody said office is done. It was the same for office and retail. They're like, office is done. No one's going back to office. Retail is done. No one's going to do retail. Fast forward to now, retail is honestly one of the best asset classes in real estate right now, most top performing. And when you talk about office, what we're seeing is the office space. If you know how to do office well, the office space can really benefit. We work a lot with like real estate investment funds and firms, and we see that people that know how to take the opportunity of office right now can really make it big. So, what is your perspective on office right now? I know you're in New York, but like nationally, specifically in the United States, what do you see that's happening in offices, and what is the special perspective you have from like a co-working experience versus like companies renting a full office space?
Yeah. So look, COVID was awful, right? They're like, let's not sugarcoat that, right? I am someone who believes that like it was horrible what happened. Personally, the greatest thing that came out of COVID was that I met my wife. So I'm very happy on a personal level. On a professional level, COVID accelerated the need for co-working. And what I mean by that is that it showed people that employees don't need to be in the office 5 days a week. They want some sort of hybrid work-life balance. And with that, in order for a company or a large enterprise to be able to really achieve that, then the CFO is not going to want to have 50 to 100,000 square feet of commercial real estate space on their P&L. So you need to find this middle ground. And that middle ground is agile office space. And it's boutique co-working providers or operators like Mindspace. It allows us to come in and be this solution for entrepreneurs who don't want to work out of a coffee shop and they want their own small dedicated space because they're still growing, to large Fortune 500 publicly traded companies that need full floors but don't need their own entire overhead. So I think if anything, like this has showed us that like this is the way in which people are moving towards working, and it's only accelerating that.
Mm-hmm. So how does that differ from what happened with WeWork? And again, WeWork is a very special story. I honestly I'm a big fan of a lot of stuff that Adam did there for a long time. I just loved a lot of the things that happened. Obviously, not everything went as well as we know that, but it's been amazing to learn from that experience and what he's done. Eventually, he's grown one of the biggest co-working companies in the world, the first one to ever actually do it on a wider scale, right? But eventually, what happens is, and what I feel like, and again, that could be only a perception and not the reality. What happens is that a lot of times people have the tendency to say, you know what, I'll go into a shared office space. I'll do that for X amount of time until I grow and become large enough as a company. And then what I'll do is I'll be able to get my own space and do that for a certain amount of time, right? How does that come into your strategy today? How does that work for you in Mindspace when a company says, you know what, once I outgrow Mindspace, I'll just go somewhere else? How does that work for you guys?
So I hate that people outgrow our space. But at the end of the day, it happens, right? I don't want anyone to ever leave. I would say our average tenure for a member company is probably somewhere just shy of 2 years, give or take. You have a lot of people that come in and say, I'm going to stay here for 8 to 10 months. Or 8 to 12 months. I'm going to get my Series A, and then we're going to get our own space. And we have members in our Williamsburg location who had that exact thought process, and they took a 7-person office with us. Then they took the 7-person office next to them. And then they were going to take the 8-person office on the other side of them, but ended up moving into one of our largest suites. And they've now said to us, we will stay here until you, Mindspace, can no longer accommodate us. We don't want to. I don't want to deal with overhead. I don't want to deal with getting coffee from my employees or figuring out the Wi-Fi or printing issues or anything. Like, it's so much more than just having this like plug and play, like desks come in, come out, no matter like if you're a 7 to 10 person company. It really is a very strong, cost-effective solution for large companies. And that's what I think sometimes people like have this perception of, like co-working, beer on tap, parties, happy hours at 3:00 in the afternoon on Tuesdays. Like, that used to happen. I was part of that. It was phenomenal. I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat anything, right? Like, everyone had a blast, but you still got your job done. But the world has changed, and co-working and agile office spaces has advanced. And it's really fun to be part of that advancement because you're seeing people around you take more and more advantage of it. And I agree. I think, what WeWork did was unbelievable. I say, whoever asked, they're like, oh man, you probably like hated that. I was like, no. Like, I loved every single moment of my WeWork journey. And I think Adam and the executive team there completely changed the way in which commercial real estate has been looked at. And this industry has not been changed in decades. Right? Mm-hmm. So it was incredible. And WeWork set the platform for Mindspace, Industrious, Convene, even though they do events now, Galvanize, all these other companies, the Malin, to really have a stage to set up and continue to drive in their own niches. So I think it's been a great thing to see happen. And I think the change is welcoming. I think it also keeps us on our toes, right? I think, I mentioned early on in the podcast that I'm constantly looking to see how Mindspace could grow its presence across the US. And one of the ways in which I'm looking at this is not only about like what market do we go into next or where do we double down in an existing market, but it's also like, what is the product and what does our product need to be so that people want to continue to stay and be in this space for the next 3, 5, 7 years, right? The black frame, the half frosted glass, the wood desk, it's a great product and our quality is phenomenal. I'm on calls all day and the company next to me never yells at me and I'm not the quietest talker, right? So it's like we've made changes in like noise canceling and stuff like that, but still, like, what do larger companies want out of a premium workspace? And that's what we're now trying to figure out so that we can stay ahead of the curve and we can help drive that change.
I love that. So what is the thought process behind choosing, if we're talking about commercial real estate, choosing the space itself? You told me that you're planning to expand into Manhattan. Like, what is the thought process that goes behind that? How do you look at? And I remember this honestly in the WeWork show, which was, I'm not sure how 100% true it was, but there was a scene I never forget where the guy that is the actor that does Adam stands in this office, in this like completely vacant space, commercial real estate office, completely vacant. And he has this vision of like, he understands how it's going to look like. How does that thought process work in terms of choosing the location, choosing the space, choosing the owners? Like, how do you guys go through that thought process?
It's a great scene too. It was like really, really well done, that scene with Jared
Yes.
Leto. So it starts with the location in my mind. And well, first of all, it actually starts with making sure you know your market. You need to understand what is valuable and what is going to bring people, right? It's kind of like one of those like field of dream moments, like if you build it, they will come. So it's like, first we have to find our location. And I don't just talk about like being like, well, I want to be in Midtown, or I want to be in Gramercy, or I want to be in Flatiron. It's like, no. I want to know exactly what block I want to be on and what corner of the street I want to be on. What has the easiest accessibility to subways? What has the most transit like lines going in and out or around the area? What has the best lunch spots? What has the best after work spots? Then let's start to talk about the building. Now, is this a Class A trophy building, right? We want a flagship location. Are there amenities in the building? Is there a rooftop? Is there a gym? Is there bike storage? Are there showers? All of these different things go into like my like overview when I'm planning out what building we want, not only from like a pricing perspective of what we can charge for our member, but also like what's going to bring the member to us. One of the things that I think really helps differentiate Mindspace between other operators out there is that we want our space to be an extension of our members' homes. So when they come into the space, they don't need to leave until they're completely done with their day. If they want to leave their stuff at their office and go to the gym, they could do that. If they want to have lunch on our rooftop, they could do that. If they want to sign up for morning yoga in one of our workshop sessions, they could do that too. We want everything to be all encompassing. So all of that goes into what we're looking at when we look at a building. Then I start to think about like who is going to be here? What is my target audience? What are my target members? And what kind of product are they going to want? And how do we make sure that we can offer that? Of course, I'm looking around to see where other competitors are, where other operators are. And then it kind of like really just like spirals down from there. Then we do some test fits. Then I do the underwriting. We look at the pro forma, do the financials work, and so on and so on. But I think it first comes down to location. And one of the things I really spoke about with Dan, our CEO, when I first joined, was that it's not about hypergrowth. I'm not looking for another hypergrowth company. I've done that 2 times already. I'm looking for a company that has a super strong foundation and wants to slowly and very smartly build on top of that. And what I love about Dan and even Yotem's like thought process on real estate is none of it is an emotional. They all want the US to grow, even more than I do, if that's possible. And it's their company. They want it to continue to build on that. But they will not take a building if it's on the wrong side of the street, because they know it's going to change the economics completely. So I love how smart we are, or how smart they are when looking at every detail of every potential real estate opportunity for us.
Love it. I love it. And I think being so granular. So it starts with being so granular in terms of the location, choosing the building itself, what's the potential. And then, like you said, going into the fine details of what's the frame I'm going to use, what's the windows I'm going to use, what's the tables I'm going to use, how's the floor going to look like. Like all of these choices create both, the economic standpoint of a company can actually make money, and also the experience standpoint that you're trying to give every one of your any one of the companies that are using your product. So I really love that mix. Again, reminds me in many ways. Again, years ago, I was also in the WeWork space and in a Mindspace office as well. So it reminds me a lot of that, like creating that experience. So yeah, it's really, really cool to hear how you do that.
Absolutely. And you use a great word there, experience, right? It's like everything I talk about with my team in the US is all about the member experience. Like that is what's going to separate us from the other operators out there, in my personal opinion. We're all going to have great locations for the most part. We're going to have high-end buildings. You want amenities, but it comes down to the experience that people feel from the moment they walk into the space to the moment they leave at night, right? And as I mentioned, we want it to be like an extension of their home. So it's like when you walk into our location in Williamsburg, Eric, who's our community associate, knows our members all by name, right? He's like, hey, Asaf, how was your weekend? Right? Like, hey, did you win your soccer game this week? Like, what's going on? Like, what are you up to? Like, we're constantly talking to them. But even more so on a professional level, it's them like, hey, Asaf, I know you're doing this recording, or you're a financier. I actually have a startup down 4 offices from you that is looking for someone with your skill set. Like maybe there's a way in which you can consult and like work together so that both of you guys could grow your business. And now all of a sudden our members aren't just coming in and out of their own space or the common area, but they're now interacting with other community members and they're working together to further grow their business. So it's all of that is within kind of like the 4 walls of Mindspace to really help drive that like premium experience.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so we try to keep, for the sake of our audience, we try to keep the episodes up to 20 minutes. So I'm really sorry to cut
We're
this out.
already
There's so
over.
much to talk
Sorry.
about here. It's all right. It's all good. There's so much to cover here. I'm just excited people are going to hear this. Obviously, they can follow up. You already did one article with us already on our website to talk about this. And obviously, you're going to be available for them on LinkedIn if anybody's looking for a space. Now, at every episode of the podcast, we do something called the Shameless Plug. And that is where, as shamelessly as possible, you plug in exactly what you're doing right now, what you're looking for, what will be a good outcome for you from the podcast. And there's been a lot of connections and things happening behind the scene here. So yeah, go ahead as shamelessly as you can.
I'm looking to grow our US member base, right? So anyone that needs space, come contact me. If you're in New York, Philadelphia, DC, Miami, we have our Biscayne location and our Wynwood location, as well as San Francisco. If you need space, whether it's an office for 4 people or whether it's office for 150 to 250 people, we could definitely make something work for you. We'll figure out a way. But also if you want to just stop in and, leverage our day passes or our meeting rooms, like whatever you need. My goal is to make sure my team is here for you. So let us know how we can help you grow your business.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mark, for just, coming into the podcast, sharing your valuable insights and experiences. It was just truly enlightening to have your perspective, what's happening in real estate, what's happening in office, and how you guys are kind of interconnected with that in Mindspace. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the episode of the Dealmakers Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on the latest conversations with industry leaders. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes. We continue to explore the stories behind the deals and the people making them happen. I'm Asaf Raz, and we'll see you next time on the Dealmakers Podcast. Mark, thank you so much.